Before we get started, I would appreciate if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.
So what are the chances now that the digital euro wholesale CBDC would be ready by November? Because that's the point, right? Everyone's saying that by November, the digital euro CBDC would be up and running and there's going to be a change in the financial system. XRPL is the switch is going to be flipped and it's going to handle all the cross-border payments via the RTGS system, the high-value payments with wholesale CBDCs and so on. And it's all going to happen in November. I don't know why, but it's happening in November. So what are the chances that the digital euro wholesale CBDC would be ready by November? Let's look into that. So what we know so far is that the Central Bank of France are the ones really focusing on the development of a digital euro wholesale DLT-based CBDC. So the Central Bank of France is at the forefront of that. And the ECB at the moment are still pretending they are unsure whether they're going to have one or not. Are we going to consider it? Are we going to evaluate it? Or if the market wants it, we would have one. We need to look at what options best. We need to look at the advantages and disadvantages. They're pretending like they don't know what they're exactly going to do, but they know what they're doing. So what is likely going to happen is that they will be using the wholesale CBDC developed by the Central Bank of France, and I'm talking about the ECB. The ECB is very likely to just use the wholesale CBDC that is developed by the Central Bank of France, since the Central Bank of France have already been developing and experimenting with it since 2020 and ongoing. Like, why would the ECB make their whole new central bank digital currency and having to go through all the experimentations for the past 2 years of developing and experimenting it when the Central Bank of France has already done that groundwork? So let's just assume that the Central Bank of France that is working on the wholesale CBDCs is the CBDC that's going to be used by the European Central Bank, since the Central Bank of France is contributing to the development anyways. So according to the Central Bank of France, they plan a pilot wholesale CBDC rollout for 2023, which should be rolled out by 23rd of March 2023. Now, this is what the Central Bank of France is saying. We're doing a pilot wholesale CBDC rollout because as of yet, no digital euro wholesale CBDC or retail CBDC has been launched. So the Central Bank of France is saying they're going to do a pilot wholesale CBDC rollout for 2023. And bear in mind, they said pilot. Do you know what a pilot is? They're still testing it. It's not fully launched. It's still under experimentation. But they're going to do a pilot wholesale CBDC rollout. So if they're going to do a pilot wholesale CBDC rollout for 2023, and it should be rolled out by 23rd of March 2023, how is it going to be launched in November? What are the chances that by November they would have launched it, completed the pilot testing phase, go into complete full-on final launch phase, and we're talking about in a few weeks now, and have XRP basically handling all their cross-border transactions by November, when they still need to release it as a pilot and roll it out. So if you do follow my content, then you should gather by now that I lean more to the side of realism than hopium. I'm more leaning to the side of being rational than just being emotional and wanting to get rich. So I'm going to ask you, my viewers, how can the wholesale digital euro CBDC be ready by November for full-on utility in the Eurozone when it has not even started its pilot trial yet? Just seriously, just think about it logically. I have seen people come to me in the comment section and say claims like, oh, they could develop a CBDC in a couple of days or in a fortnight, for example. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but do you think that the ECB is going to be developing some Mickey Mouse token that is going to be literally just flung together and thrown out there by the ECB with their reputation on the line? The CBDC represents digital fiat currency. The central bank is liable for it. They're liable for the infrastructure, the technology, everything about it. They're not just going to mint some token on the Ethereum blockchain and throw it out there like it's some stable coin, some Mickey Mouse stable coin like Terra Luna that is just a mess. So sometimes I think people are confusing CBDCs for some low quality stable coin minted on Ethereum or something, because when someone comes to me and says, oh, they can just put a CBDC together in a couple of days and roll it out. No, they can't. This is why they spend years. Why do you think the Central Bank of France has spent the past 2 years experimenting on it? Because they can't just release it in a couple of days. Why do you think they still are doing more experiments on it? Why do you think even after doing all these experiments and investigating it, they launched it out as a pilot testing program? Because they're still trialing it out. They don't just launch a CBDC in a couple of days so you guys can get rich. It's not about you people getting rich by November. Everything is about, I have to get rich in November. It has to happen in November. It's pure hopium, no realism. And then they tell you that they're going to pilot test it in 2023. Oh no, forget about what they say. It's going to happen in November because it has to happen in November. Why? Because ISO 20022 goes live in November. Okay, ISO 20022 has been live in China since 2015. And guess what? They're still using correspondent banking. Anyways, it's a joke, the things people are saying just to make timelines fit in with November. They're literally ready to bend anything just so that it fits in with November, to justify their irrational obsession with XRP having to take off that month so that everyone can become rich, as if it's all about you becoming rich in November, as if the people in charge are like, we have to make this happen so all the XRP token holders can have a very, very good Xmas, which is what I see people saying. It's not about you. And people do this all because they do not understand things like ISO 20022. There's so much misinformation about ISO 20022. People don't understand RTGS. There's so much misinformation about RTGS, and people don't understand correspondent banking. There's so much misinformation out there about correspondent banking in relation to ISO 20022 and how that fits in with the RTGS system. That's why you're seeing this crazy talk about everything has to be bent so that it all takes off in November. And when you actually look at what they're telling us, it's not the case at all. When you actually break down the evidence that they have supporting this November, you'll see that a lot of it is circumstantial. They'll take a picture and say, oh, liquidity bridge, that means XRPL. No, it doesn't. They'll take another picture, ISO 20022, cross-border, HVPS, RTGS, that means XRP is going to be used to send. No, it does not mean XRP is going to be used to send high-value payments across border. Oh, yes, it does, because it says ISO 20022. No, it doesn't. And that's why me personally, it's not about being right. It's just about understanding it properly so that I can form the correct logical opinion. And as usual, if I've made a mistake, feel free to correct me, and I would look into it, because it's just about understanding the stuff properly, not about me trying to fudge timelines to fit into my narrative. If the narrative is it's going to take off in November, and that's where all the evidence led to, then I would be out here telling you guys it's happening in November. But that's emotions, and the actual evidence is not implying that XRP is going to be utilized in November. Anyways, thank you guys for watching.
Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so as to not miss my next video.